welcome to another episode of I Heart Geek. Another What If episode.
What if?
I was wrecked. We'll get into it in a minute.
It was an emotional gut punch.
But it was beautiful. It was like getting emotionally gut punched by like a bouquet of lilies with a newborn kitten in the middle.
And here's
Santa Claus.
Here's
Santa
a funny
Claus
spoiler.
Went for a headshot.
When I first watched it, I would have been lucky to have given it a C-. The more I thought about it, the more I liked it, because I figured out what I didn't like about it. But we'll get into that as we do it. And real quick, before I introduce everybody, a quick word from Mr. Giorgetti.
Hey, Geek Rock stars, it's contest time. You know, during our What If series, we have this little 9-week contest that you can be a part of. During these episodes and our normal content, you'll have the chance to win some super cool I Heart Geek swag, like this t-shirt. It's great, isn't it? So your quest, if you choose to accept it, is visit at I Heart Geek on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and of course on our Facebook page, where you need to like, comment, and follow us. Once you do that, you'll receive an entry for doing each on each channel. So my math is bad. That's 4 entries. I think that's a total of 36 chances to win. I mean, well, it's going to be fun. It's a game. We like games. We like fun. So remember, like, comment, subscribe for your chance to win. So good luck, Geek Rock stars. And remember, I can't do it. We're doing it live. Keep geeking on.
Okay, so thank you, Chris, for letting us know the contest thing. I'm Dub. I'm here with Satomi. I'm here with Courtney. I'm surrounded by the women's. Yay! Life is good. You guys just make me look better. So it's good. Yes.
Two ladies.
So today was the what if, and it was what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands. When I first heard that title, I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck, because I thought they literally would have had to do a heart transplant.
It was literally
that's what I thought too. Yeah,
and it was a weird expectation to give you, but I will say, and I want to give my first thoughts on my issue with it. When it starts, I mean, I like the concept of it. It's interesting, but I hated that I don't know. It's a 3 to 5 minute segment when they keep repeating the same story over and over and over and over again, like Groundhog Day, and I thought, oh my gosh, I hate this so much. And then I went and thought back. It was the same thing in Doctor Strange, the movie, and I hated that part so much that it bothered me. When I went back and thought about it, and this one I rewatched. I loved it after I was able to put that out of my head. Am I the only one on that?
Yep.
Okay.
In this room, yeah.
That's fair.
Because I think it's a given whenever you're talking time travel, especially time travel where you're trying to change the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way to convey that effort.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I get what you're saying, but yeah, it's just, what other way can you tell that story?
And I think we had to see the mounting frustration and sadness that Doctor Strange was going through every time she died, because he could not figure out. I mean, he thought he was fixing it the one time, and then it didn't work, and then it continued to not work. And we all know when we want to do something, if it keeps going wrong, we get frustrated. We don't know what we're doing wrong, and then to have the Ancient One come in and say, "Well, you can't do it because of this." And all I heard was Doctor Who in the background, 10 going, "Fixed point in time, I'm sorry."
Yes, I was about to say, by the Ancient One, you mean the Doctor, right?
Right. Like all I saw was 10, and it was Vesuvius.
Yes. You know, there was 2 heavily borrowed from Doctor Who issues in this one. Not issues, but parts in this. The first one was the fixed point in time. And honestly, this is the second. I think that Doctor Who explains it better, but this came a close second. But it's the same rules apply. And I think the other one that they borrowed from the Doctor really strongly was, remember the Doctor Who episode when he has to keep reliving his life over and over again and keeps having to punch through the diamond wall?
Oh God, that episode also
tell me that what he went through and he kept killing the demons over and over and over and over and over again. That part didn't bother me, by the way, but that felt so. I think that borrowed from that episode. It had the same kind of emotional feel, and it just kept getting a little bit farther, and you just kept seeing it goes for a millennium, you know.
Yeah, it's the. I mean, well, it's that. It is definitely a human theme of um where desire of any kind, especially in this particular case from loss, becomes obsession.
Yeah.
And
what's
yeah,
the line?
The
It's not
Watcher's line?
it wasn't the Watcher who said it. It was the other guy, Ben.
I forgot his
yes,
name, but
him.
yes, I was
The
gonna
yeah,
ask
the
that.
guy that
Librarian.
the guy that he meets at the Library of Cagliostro. He said there's a fine line between
Love.
despair
Oh.
and delusion.
Yeah.
Oh, that was yeah.
Well, another line that was fantastic was the one the Watcher delivered. He goes, I would love to stop him and tell him he's on the wrong path, but it'd destroy the timeline and he wouldn't listen anyway.
Anyway,
Well, and
yeah,
he says
yeah,
it was too dangerous
Yeah.
for the rest of the timelines.
Yeah,
yeah.
and that
So-
answers a lot of questions about what is going on with the Watcher. This was
Yeah.
really the
Mhm.
first clue we've gotten with the Watcher.
There was another
This-
really beautiful line, and I'm so sorry. We'll get back to the clues on the Watcher, but when the librarian is old,
Yeah.
and he said, "Well, I can fix this. I can bring you back." And he said, "Well, no, because I chose to live
Hmm.
Mhm.
while you were in this." So back to the
Mhm.
Watcher. Go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I was just saying that we haven't gotten a lot from the Watcher yet, which has been kind of disappointing in the series for me. But this, I feel like, is the first clue of, okay, so we are building to something on this. It's not just going to be disparate episodes. There is something going on here. And I know
This is the first time our characters have interacted directly with the Watcher.
Mhm.
And Doctor Strange knew who he was.
Yeah. Well, he's got all the knowledge.
Because he says, I've read about you. I know what you are. You're a god. You can fix this. And he's like,
Nope.
no, I can't.
And he says, "No, I'm not a god."
Yeah. And I don't think anybody else that we've seen so far could have seen the Watcher. I don't
That's a
think
good point.
I don't think
Yeah.
anybody is mentally equipped, or spiritually equipped, or otherwise to see the Watcher.
Just
Or
the
you-
nature of Stephen Strange sets him up that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know if the Ancient One could talk to the Watcher.
Well,
She probably could.
I mean,
I
in
don't
Loki,
know.
they were the only ones who, the only reason they could see him was because they found him. They physically found him versus
Mhm.
this case. So yeah, the Ancient One, because they were both, and forgive me, I'm blanking on the names, the Grand Sorcerer or whatever, Sorcerer Supreme.
Sorcerer Supreme.
Supreme.
That with those powers, I think the Ancient One would have been down. She might have sat down for a drink with the Watcher and been like, "Well,
Possibly.
yeah."
But I mean, the other thing is Steven has to create a mirror dimension in order for the Watcher to show up. Because
Yeah.
what he's
Yeah.
doing the way that I understand it, and I could be wrong, listeners, if you have thoughts, when he's creating that bubble at the end, he's creating a mirror dimension.
Mhm.
It's something he does in Doctor Strange. It's something he does in Infinity War.
This goes back to the WandaVision thing debate.
Yeah,
that we
so
had.
he's creating a mirror, and when he creates the mirror dimension, that's when the Watcher chooses to appear. We know the Watcher's been here the whole time, but it's not until then does he actually show himself.
Do you think it's
to
because
Doctor
that dimension
Strange.
is sort of shielded from the rest of the timeline,
It
so that it's a
could be.
protected area where they can
It would have to be.
Yeah,
It
in
could
order
be,
for
Because
the
yeah.
Watcher
he
to come
stopped
through.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And the librarian
that's what the
chose
mirror
to
dimension
step out of
does.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being that why he could see the Watcher in the first place. I'm kind of fan theorying right now.
Do
why
it.
I think he could see the Watcher in the first place is because he became the Watcher at that moment because he did create two worlds and two realities he was watching. That Stephen Strange was watching. So I think that could be part of it. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there.
I can see, but I don't
I'm not
necessarily
going to
go
lose
with
sleep
it.
over it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
I don't necessarily go with it, but I could see where you could get that idea.
So now let's talk voice acting. Had all of the original cast. There was nobody that wasn't original cast except for the librarian. Perfect.
Yeah, but he's new, so he's a new character.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I wasn't harping on that.
So we got the Kraken thing again from Captain Carter.
Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we did. Oh,
from the Captain Carter episode, we all of a sudden have this octopusy Kalula Kraken thingy majiggy. We don't know what it is, coming out of a portal, just like it did.
So here's a question: is he pulling these out of other dimensions, or are these the ones out of his dimension that he's still pulling out of?
I don't know. I mean, they talk about these they talk about these beings. You know, these beings have immense power, and who's to say that they don't jump back and forth? I think one thing is I think our theory from last week is correct. I think they're building a Dark Avengers, or I've read something where it says Guardians of the Multiverse, but I think it's going to be a big old team up at the end of the season, and I think they're tying them all together. Yeah, they'll use this Doctor Strange, they'll use T'Challa, they'll use Captain Carter.
Well, tell us what you read about the last episode today.
The last episode, actually, the Guardians of the
finally
Multiverse.
Released,
it's finally been released. That's why we know the Guardians of the Multiverse, and it has Doctor Strange and Captain Carter and Wong and T'Challa and those guys all in the so far released cast list, but it's not complete. They must join together to defeat Infinite Vision, and in this world, Vision joins with Ultron. And becomes evil.
Whoa.
And all powerful.
Which will be fantastic.
Which will be amazing.
So now what I want to ask, since I know that's the future stuff, now let's talk about this episode in general. This episode felt, I mean, they've all felt kind of different. This one felt like it was in its own world compared to the last 3 episodes. 3 or 4, whatever it's been.
This is 4.
This is 4. Okay, so 3 the first 3 episodes, you can definitely feel like, this is this show. This one, the storytelling and everything was so different, and I liked it so much better. It was just, man versus himself in the most literal sense. I think was.
Well, it was a really, when you look at it, and I'm gonna geek out on the production side. It was such a well-crafted episode. The writing was excellent. The animation, you guys, the first time that he sees Christine, they had, I mean, like, you could see the color in his cheeks, like you could see without them going overboard, you could see how emotional that was for him. And it was remarkable. The score, Laura Carpenter's score is just,
the music was beautiful.
Holy smokes. Like I sometimes I watch credits, sometimes I don't. I was like, I have to keep these credits on because I need to hear the end of this piece. It was so stunning.
And I don't know about you guys, but I did the same thing. I left it in, and I left the credits running, and I was listening, and I literally just sat there taking in everything that I've just that battle, him being destroyed because he cannot, and then he the realization of that he destroyed his universe. I mean, it's just, and the music underscoring all that. Like, I sat there for a good while as the credits rolled.
And I'm not saying this episode was better than the others or anything else, because we're trying to grade these on their own, but it was just different. and it was so different, and I loved it.
So you guys, one of the things that really struck me about this episode is we've definitely seen man against himself battles before, and they've been great. But the thing is, usually when we have that, the quote unquote bad version has like really gone to the dark side, it's like they've really gotten twisted into this evil thing. And, maybe at the very end they turn back and they're like, oh, I just, blah, blah, blah. But in this case, he never really was truly evil. He was just broken.
Yeah. And he showed that in the eyes too the whole time, even when he was fighting himself.
Yes. Which made it so much more of an interesting battle.
Well, and usually, I mean, not always, but usually the quote unquote good guy wins.
Yeah.
The good version wins. And this time it didn't happen. The bad version
really
took over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tommy's absolutely correct. I agree with you. It's not that he was evil. He wasn't power hungry in the terms of being power hungry to have power and to have control over it. No, he wanted to amass as much power as he could because he wanted to be able to stop this one thing that he needed to stop. I mean, and so he went about it wrong, but his intentions were actually rather noble.
And we've seen that in other, bad version people, except that there's a tipping point that he didn't get to, which I have not seen before. You know what I mean? Like
he wasn't the bad guy.
He wasn't.
He was just
never
the broken
was the
guy.
bad guy. Yeah.
Which
I
really
enjoyed.
So I want to ask you guys one more question. I want to ask you guys on your specialty. And I'm going to start with Courtney. Now you're a writer, and then I'm going to ask you as a performer.
Okay.
Tell me your thoughts on this, because I think this episode does merit it. As a writer, what's your thoughts on this episode?
This is some of the best writing we've seen from the What If series so far, I think. The whole episode was like a gut punch from the very moment. I mean, because he's in the accident 2 minutes into the episode, and he loses Christine 2 minutes into the episode. And I mean, but there were so many wonderful lines and wonderful moments speaking about the nature of grief.
Yeah.
And how it can change a person and twist a person and control a person. So I think this is some of the best writing we've seen. And I've enjoyed all of the What Ifs thus far, but I think this is some of the best writing of the What Ifs thus far.
I can agree. Now, so tell me, as a performer, I want to get your take on it.
Well, I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch
can do no wrong. We know this.
Tilda Swinton. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch having a war of words with himself. I mean, I'm done. Give me the cigarette. It's done. It's
there you go.
Just but what I found so special about this episode was again the animation captured what I'm sure was happening in the booth. The emotion on the face of the actor, which we can. I mean, all of CG is a manipulation of human emotions, but it was so beautifully rendered.
Well, let me tell you a secret that I found. I know about the animation on these. A lot of these face things, they're using Adobe Photoshop. It's a program called Animator, and literally you can create the face around, and it will animate your face, which is exactly
the mocap is what it is.
Yeah, which is exactly why I hated this when I first watched it, because it looks like the motion comics, which I've never been a fan of. But that's why but these guys caught their emotion right, because that is their emotion, because it was acting like Benedict Cumberbatch. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't a facsimile of. It was him.
It was him, which is why it was. That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, so let's. Go ahead.
No, I love the episode, so
Yeah.
I'm still singing its praises.
Okay, so since Blythe isn't here, I'm just gonna we're gonna do the grades. Hey Blythe, what grade do you have? It's a Marvel, so it's A plus. It's the best thing I've ever seen. Okay, that's that. There you go, Blythe. So let's give our grades out, and let's start with Satomi. What grades did you give this?
I gotta say, for me, this really was an A+. I loved it. I will watch it again. I can't stop thinking about it. It's haunting me, and that always is an A+ indicator for me.
Courtney?
I'm gonna give it an A+ as well, for very, very many of the same reasons that Satomi has. Is that, and I mean, I didn't watch it last. I actually watched it today on my lunch hour. But here I am 7-8 hours later, and I'm still thinking about it, and I'm still thinking about things in it, and the music was just so, it was an emotion unto itself. And I mean, and like one of our listeners and a friend of mine, Andy Wright, sent me a text last night. He's like, "Did you watch it yet?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Buckle in." And I wrote him this. I watched it and I texted him after. I said, "That was rough." Because it literally is a gut punch from the get-go, and you go on this deep dive of grief with Doctor Strange. And it's a lot to take in, and I loved it.
It is longing distilled.
I like that. Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, that's good.
To me, this really was a piece of art. Now, and I will say this. Okay, so the first episode, if you guys remember, when we did, it was the Peggy Carter's Captain America. First time I watched
the name is Captain Carter.
Okay, so first time I watched it, I said, "Oh wow, this is an A-." And then the second time I watched it, I didn't like it as much, and so I think I dropped it down to like a B or something. Now this one had the opposite effect, because I chose not to watch these multiple times, but this one I had to watch multiple times. So the first time I watched it, for the reasons I said earlier, it was, at best a C, because that part bothered me so much with the repeating. On the rewatch, even when I was thinking about it in between, it's an A. So, that, I guess that equals out to a B+. But this one has the emotion and the technical. It's just that I don't know. I'd like to hear in the comments if anybody else feels the same way on that repeating pattern, because that could just be I'm sure it's just a me thing, but I'm sure it is.
You see the world with different eyes than anybody I know, and it's wonderful.
I'll take it. Okay, so we'll see you all next week. And do you know what's next week there?
Next week is, what if Thor is banished to Earth, but he is still worthy of the mantle?
I'm looking forward to this one. So until next time, I'm Dub. I'm here with Satomi. I'm here with Courtney. Keep on geeking on, guys, and we'll see you next week.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.